We've all been there, right? A big, new change initiative gets announced, there's a fancy plan, lots of buzz, and then it just sort of fizzles out. Or it hits a massive wall of resistance. Or it just fails. It is one of the most common frustrations in any organization. So today we're going to dig into why that happens so often, and we'll uncover a much, much more powerful way to think about and actually lead change.
All right, so let's jump right in. We've got to start by looking at the conventional wisdom, the way we've all been taught to manage change, and figure out why it is so often completely doomed from the get-go.
And this quote right here, from critical scientist Thijs Homan, is the perfect place to start. I mean, this idea just flips everything we think we know about change management right on its head. He's basically arguing that the very act of trying to force and control some kind of smooth, perfect process is exactly what grinds it to a halt.
And the numbers? Wow, they really back this up. Research consistently shows that a staggering 70 to 80% of planned change projects, well, they fail. They don't meet their goals. So it really makes you wonder, as Homan asks, why do we keep trying the exact same broken approach?
Well, this failed approach actually has a name. It's called monocentric change, and it's all built on this fundamental belief that an organization is just sitting there, waiting for something to happen. It assumes a manager has to be the one to start the engine, push all the right buttons, and steer the ship.
And what happens when we try this old-school approach? Well, this slide lays it out perfectly. When you have this really specific, rigid strategy, but the underlying culture is weak, what do you get? Pushback, resistance. And when both the strategy and the culture are weak, you get, well, nothing. Crickets, total inertia. Does any of that sound familiar?
So, okay, if this whole planned, formal, on-stage version of change is such a mess, then what's really going on? What's actually driving people's behavior? To figure that out, we have to go offstage. Homan has this brilliant metaphor to help us understand this. The on-stage world is all the official stuff. The big kickoff meetings, the polished PowerPoint decks, the formal announcements from leadership. It's what people do when they know the boss is watching. But the offstage world, that's where the real action is. It's in the quiet conversations, the emails between friends, the chat by the coffee machine. That's where people are actually making sense of things.
And out of all those offstage interactions, something really powerful emerges. Hoberman calls them clouds of meaning. Think of them as the shared social understandings inside different groups about what's really going on. And these clouds, they are way, way more powerful in shaping how people act than any official memo ever will be.
So this requires us to totally flip our most basic assumption. Organizations are not these lifeless machines that are just waiting for a manager to come along and fix them. No, they are living, breathing systems. They're constantly blooming with change. And get this, everyone has an influence on that change, but not a single person actually controls it.
Okay, but wait a second. If we can't control change from the top down, how on earth do we create accountability? How do we make sure everyone is pulling in the same direction?
The secret is to completely shift our focus. So external accountability, that's all about compliance, right? It's about being monitored from the outside. But the real magic, the thing that actually drives real improvement, is internal accountability. That's when people and teams want to take collective responsibility because they're invested in getting better and helping everyone succeed.
So how do we get there? How do you build that kind of internal accountability? Well, before we can even think about bridging the gap to that offstage world, we first have to get a really honest look at our formal on-stage systems. We need a diagnostic tool.
And the Nadler-Tushman congruence model is a perfect tool for this job. It helps you see the alignment, or more often, the misalignment, between four crucial parts of your organization. First, you've got the task. That's simply the work that needs to be done. Then you have the people with all their unique skills and motivations. Next up is the formal structure, think org charts and workflows. And finally, the organizational culture. When these four are out of sync, you get friction and problems. But when they're aligned, things just work so much better.
Okay, so once we've got a handle on our on-stage reality, how do we build that bridge to the off-stage world? How do we create real coherence? Well, that's exactly what the Coherence Framework is designed for. It's a way to actively connect our formal systems with those informal, powerful clouds of meaning. Michael Fullan's Coherence Framework is basically our roadmap. It gives us 4 key areas that we have to work on at the same time. And this is huge. It's not a checklist you do in order. They all reinforce each other, creating this really powerful positive cycle of change. First up,
Focusing direction. This is all about building a shared moral purpose. It's about having a super clear strategy that people can actually understand, believe in, and get behind. It's the why and the what of your work.
Second is cultivating collaborative cultures. This is the engine room of the whole thing. It means you're actively investing in your teams, building up that social capital, and creating an environment where people can truly work together. This is how you directly feed and nurture that offstage world.
Third, we have deepening learning. Now, this is about getting really precise about the work itself, the specific practices and methods that are actually going to lead to improvement. This is all about getting better at the how.
And finally, securing accountability. And here's the kicker, notice how it comes last. That is not an accident. When you have the other three pieces clicking into place, accountability stops being something that is done to people from the outside. It becomes something internal, something that is owned by the group.
So you see, all those formal onstage things, the professional development days, the big initiatives, they're really just the tip of the iceberg. The real power, the massive foundation below the surface that actually drives the whole thing forward, is the day in, day out, offstage work of people collaborating.
And this just shows you the incredible payoff. Remember this grid? By really investing in a strong collaborative culture, that's your vertical axis, and combining it with a clear, focused strategy on the horizontal axis, we create the conditions to finally move past that inertia and resistance and achieve real depth. That's deep, meaningful, and lasting change.
So, what does all this mean for you as a leader? Well, it means your job has to change dramatically. You've got to stop thinking of yourself as the manager of change and start seeing yourself in a completely different light.
You are no longer the sender at the top with the master plan. Your new role is to be the lead learner. You are guiding the process of discovery and improvement for your whole team, but you are also part of that process, learning right there alongside everyone else about what actually works in your world.
And when you lead this way, you elevate the work beyond just hitting numbers on a spreadsheet. As Michael Fullan says, the new job description is about connecting people to a deep sense of purpose. It's about tapping into that fundamental human desire to do good work and to be part of something bigger than ourselves. So, I'll leave you with this question. Are you ready to stop managing change and start leading it?